Hello student. Today I am going to teach you about the very important topic, that is the atherosclerosis. So what is atherosclerosis? What is arteriosclerosis? And other is the monkey-borg arteriosclerosis. So before going to start the atherosclerosis, uh, the atherosclerosis is a type of arteriosclerosis. So what is arteriosclerosis? So arteriosclerosis, that means hardening of the arteries with loss of its elasticity. So the thickening of the wall of arteries and arterioles and loss of elasticity, and this arteriosclerosis usually as a result of hypertension and diabetes mellitus. Two variants, one is the hyaline arteriosclerosis and other is the hyperplastic arteriosclerosis. Second one is the Monckeberg medial sclerosis. So in that condition, there is calcification of the wall of the muscular artery, and they typically involve the internal elastic membrane, and there is calcification, and that calcification do not encourage the vessels lumen, usually affects the person that have the age more than 50 years of age, and it is not usually clinically significant. So now come to the main thing, that is the atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis, it is a word derived from the Greek word atheros, that means porridge or the paste. So porridge means thick, sticky food-like materials, and sclerosis, that means hardening. So atherosclerosis, it is a type or a specific type of arteriosclerosis, in that there is thickening and hardening of the arterial walls, affecting primarily the intima of the large and medium-sized muscular arteries. So chronic multifocal immunoinflammatory fibroproliferative response in the wall of the artery. It is slowly progressive, a build-up of fat, that fat usually cholesterol, within the artery wall, characterized by intimal lesions, and that lesions are called atheromatous or fibrofatty plaque. Now come to the etiology and risk factor. The etiology or risk factor, that may divided into two categories. One is the non-modifiable, that is also known as the constitutional risk factors, and other is the modifiable risk factor. So exact etiology is unknown, and some are the non-modifiable risk factors are the one is the age. So atherosclerosis is really uh, occur in men over 45 years of age and women over 55 years of age. So it is a slowly progressive throughout the adult life. Genders: men are great risk than premenopausal women because of the protective effect of the endogenous estrogen. The postmenopausal hormone replacement therapy usually done with the estrogen, that may increase the risk for atherosclerosis in the postmenopausal woman. Now the genetics, family history. So family history of premature coronary heart disease, and that coronary heart disease usually in the less than 55 year of age for the first degree male relative, and less than 65 year of age for the first degree female relative, have the higher predisposition for the development of atherosclerosis. So what do you mean by first degree relative? The first degree relative means that person that have the close blood relative, like parents, children, or the siblings. Other is the familiar hypercholesterolemia on the family history of hypertension and diabetes. So these are the different genetic abnormality that may lead to the development of the atherosclerosis. Now come to the modifiable risk factors. So one is the hyperlipidemia. The presence of hypercholesterolemia is the strongest risk factor for the atherosclerosis in person younger than the 45 year of age. Both primary and secondary hyperlipidemia increase the risk. LDL are usually the most significant, and that is also known as the bad cholesterol, and HDL that are the protective against the atherosclerosis. Second is the cigarette smoking, the well-established risk factor in men and increasing incidence and severity in the women. Prolonged or the years smoking of one pack of cigarettes double the death rate from the ischemic heart disease. Diabetes mellitus. So diabetes elevates blood lipid level and increases the risk of atherosclerosis. Obesity, usually the abdominal obesity, and hypertension, high blood pressure produces mechanical stress on the vessels endothelium, and it is a major risk factor for the atherosclerosis in all age groups, and may be as an important and more important than the hypercholesterolemia after the age of 45 years of the age. See the diagram or the table that show the modifiable and unmodifiable risk factor. In the non-modifiable, the major risk factors are the increasing age, male gender, family history, and genetic abnormality. In potentially controllable or the modifiable risk factor are the hyperlipidemia, hypertension, cigarette smoking, and diabetes, and some lesser or uncertain or non-quantified risk factors are the obesity, physical inactivity, stress, or type A personality. So type A personality have those person that have the high stress personality and have the higher cholesterol level, high carbohydrate intake, alcohol consumption, lipoprotein A, and hardened uh, trans unsaturated fat intake, and sometimes there is a chlamydia pneumonia may be associated with the risk factor for the atherosclerosis. Now come to the pathology and pathogenesis. So the lesion associated with atherosclerosis are of three types. One is the fatty state, second is the fibrous erythematous plaque development, and third is the complicated lesion. The latter two are responsible for the clinically significant manifestation of the disease. Now, the multi-factor theory regarding the pathogenesis of the atherosclerosis. So, there is a structural and functional injury of the vascular endothelium and response to injury of the immune cells and a smooth muscle cells occur. The role of lipoprotein in initiation and progression of the lesions occur. The role of growth factors and cytokines and role of repeated thrombosis in the lesion progression may occur. As a result of all presented above, atherosclerosis can be defined as the vicious inflammatory process, and finally there is development of the atherosclerosis. So now the theory. So there is a different types of theory behind the development of pathogenesis of the atherosclerosis. So one is the thrombogenic theory, insudation theory, monoclonal hypothesis, and reaction to injury hypothesis. But the most common theory is the reaction to injury hypothesis. So in 1986, the Ross that give the reaction to injury hypothesis. According to this theory, there is a endothelial injury may be very subtle and may be undetectable visually. LDL, especially the oxidized LDL, may damage the endothelium. So, causes. So, the current hypothesis is the response to injury hypothesis. So, according to this hypothesis, so there is an initiation by the endothelial dysfunction. The main component of the fibropathic plaques are the lipid-containing macrophages, that is also called the foam cells, extracellular matrix deposition, and cells proliferating a smooth muscle cell. So here you see in the diagram, so there is a development of the athroma that may contain the fibrous cap. That fibrous cap that contains the smooth muscle cells, macrophages, foam cells, lymphocytes, collagen, elastin, proteoglycans, and neovascularization. And in the center there is a necrosis that contains the degenerated cells, that is cell debris, cholesterol crystal, foam cells, and calcium. So response to injury hypothesis, so there is a endothelial injury, so not completely understood. Nevertheless, the two most important causes of the endothelial dysfunction, one is the hemodynamic disturbances or hemodynamic stress and hypercholesterolemia. So inflammation is also an important contributor to the development of atherosclerosis. So, according to response to injury hypothesis, if there is a injury to endothelium or dysfunctional endothelium, so this dysfunctional endothelium may lead to the development of chronic inflammatory response, and then there is a migration of a smooth muscle cell from media to intimal layer of the blood vessels. Then proliferation of the smooth muscle cells in the intima, and there is excess production of extracellular matrix, and finally there is a lipid accumulation in the lumen of the vessels and development of the atheroma. So in the diagram, here we see in the first diagram there is a that show the normal blood vessels that contain the endothelial layer, lining, intima, media, and adventitia. So these are the evolution of the arterial wall changes in response to the injury hypothesis. So if there is a chronic endothelial injury due to the hemodynamic stress like hyperlipidemia, hypertension, smoking, homocysteine, hemodynamic factors, toxins, virus, or immune reaction that may lead to the endothelial injury with the adhesion of monocytes and platelets at the later to the sites where the endothelium has been lost. Finally, there is a endothelial dysfunction that may lead to the increased permeability, leukocyte adhesion, monocyte adhesion, and immigration. And in the third diagram, there is a smooth muscles immigration from media to intima and macrophages activation. So migration of the monocytes and smooth muscle cells into the intima from the media of the blood vessels. So in the fourth diagram, so there is a macrophages and a smooth muscle cells engulf the lipid, and that may lead to the formation of the foam cells or the fatty streaks. So a smooth muscle cell proliferation in the intima with deposition or production of the extracellular matrix, and finally there is a well developed formation of the atheroma and fibropathic atheromatous plaque. In that condition, there is a smooth muscle proliferation, collagen, and other extracellular matrix deposition or extracellular lipid. So, in the fifth diagram, here we see there is a well-formed fibropathic stroma or atheromatous plaque. So in that diagram, here you see the overview of the endothelial dysfunction. So in the overview of this diagram, that show the hyperlipidemia, hypertension, smoking, toxin, hemodynamic factors, and immune reaction and viruses. All these may lead to the endothelial injury or the dysfunction, and this endothelial injury or the dysfunction may lead to the may lead to the result in the platelet adhesion and the recruitment of the circulating monocytes and T cells with subsequent cytokines and growth factor release from the inflammatory cells and leading to the smooth muscle cells migration and proliferation as well as further macrophage activation. Foam cells in the erythematous plaque derive from the macrophages and smooth muscle cells that have the accumulated modified lipid that is known as the foam cells, and there is a oxidized and aggregated low density lipoprotein that is LDL by the scavengers and LDL receptor related proteins. And finally, the cholesterol accumulation in the plaque reflects an imbalance between the influx and efflux and high density lipoprotein HDL. And finally, there is a deposition of the cholesterol from these, and finally there is a development of the stoma. In response to the elaborated cytokines and chemokines, the smooth muscle cells migrate to the intima and proliferation of the smooth muscle cells occur and produces extracellular matrix including the collagen, proteoglycans, interleukin 1 and MCP1. MCP1 and mono, that is the monocyte chemoattractant protein 1. And finally there is a progressive development of the erythematous plaque. So these are the overview diagram of the how the pathogenesis or the development of the erythema occur. So these are the sequence in the progression of the atherosclerosis. So in the initial lesion there is a histologically normal and macrophages infiltration, and there is a isolated foam cells. In the fatty lesion there is a mainly intracellular lipid accumulation, and in the intermediate lesion there is a intracellular lipid accumulation and a small extracellular lipid pools. In trauma there is intracellular lipid accumulation and core of the extracellular lipid. In trauma there is a single or multiple lipid cores and fibrotic or calcific layers are seen. In complicated lesion there is a surface defect, hematoma or hemorrhage development, and finally there is a thrombosis. So these are the sequence in the progression of the atherosclerosis, and there is a nomenclature and the main histology according to progression of the trauma. Now the cells involved in the trauma. So usually the commonest cells that usually involved in the development of a trauma are the endothelial cells, platelets, smooth muscle cells, macrophages, lymphocytes, and the neutrophils. So the endothelial cells are the key role in the hemostasis and altered permeability to the lipoprotein, and that may secrete the collagens, stimulation of the proliferation and migration of the smooth muscle cells. Second is the platelet that also play role in the hemostasis, stimulate proliferation and migration of the smooth muscle cells. Now the smooth muscle cells that take up the LDL and other lipid and to become form the foam cell synthesize collagen and proteoglycans. Neutrophils that secrete the proteases and leading to the continued focal local damage and inflammation. Now the macrophages oxidize the LDL, take up lipid to become foam cells, secrete proteases which modify the matrix, stimulate proliferation and migration of the smooth muscle cell. Lymphocyte usually the tumor necrosis factor may affect the lipoprotein metabolism and may stimulate proliferation and migration of the smooth muscle cell. So these are the different types of the cells that usually involve in the pathogenesis or the development of the atherosclerosis and their role in the trauma. Now come to the process of atherogenesis. So in the process of atherogenesis, So there is a first of all there is a endothelial cell dysfunction. So due to the endothelial cell injury or dysfunction, the lipid entry into the arterial wall is a key process in the atherogenesis. So there is a hypercholesterolemia. The hypercholesterolemia, for the development of hypercholesterolemia, the factor responsible for the VCAM1 and MCP1 induction. So VCAM1 is the vascular cell adhesion protein 1, and MCP1 is the monocyte chemoattractant protein 1. So these are the two chemoattractant or the protein molecule that may lead to the hypercholesterolemia. And then there is a LDL and VLDL are the most atherogenic cholesterol that enter the vascular wall more easily, and LDL in plasma are protected against the oxidation by the vitamin E, ubiquinone, plasma antioxidant like beta carotene or vitamin C. Out of plasma, LDL phospholipid and fatty acid oxidize. Now the activated macrophage produces the enzyme like lipooxygenase, myeloperoxidase, NADPH oxidase, and that may produce the reactive oxygen species or the ROS. Now the oxidized LDL are cytotoxic to the endothelial cells and mitogenic for the macrophages. These oxidized LDL apolipoprotein B100 bind to the scavenger receptor. These scavenger receptors are not subjected to the regulation by the intracellular cholesterol level, and finally these macrophages take up the oxidized LDL overlaid with the lipid and form the foam cells, that is the lipid laden macrophages. So in the diagram there is a foam cells rupture or the apoptosis, and lipid release into the intima and their accumulation become center of the atherosclerotic plaque. So you have to see in the diagram the lipid center and fibrous cap are the main part of a mature atherosclerotic plaque. The plaque emerges from the strategically changes vascular wall, and so-called vulnerable plaque ruptures easily. The thrombus form at the rupture sites. So plaque growth critically accelerated by the cycle of plaque ruptures and thrombosis, and this happens when the activated macrophages and T lymphocyte preferentially reside at the edge of the plaque. Macrophages secrete the enzymes that degrade the extracellular matrix of the cap like matrix metalloproteinase, like collagenase, gelatinase, and stromolysin. T cell activated by the macrophages and secrete the interferon gamma and other pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 1, interleukin 2, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. So in the diagram that show the process of the atherogenesis. So in the diagram here you see these are the normal blood vessels that contain the intima, media, a smooth muscle cilia, and adventitia. So if there is a development of the early atheroma, so in the early atheroma there is a vulnerable to the in the early atheroma there is a vulnerable formation of the plaque that may contain the thin fibrous cap, large lipid pool, and many inflammatory cells, and then that may go to the thrombogenesis of the ruptured plaque, and that may go to the healed ruptured plaque that may cause the narrowing of the lumen and fibrous intima, and there is a may lead to the narrowing of the lumen, or there is a development of the thrombosis that may occur the coronary artery of the heart, and finally may lead to the acute myocardial infarction. In the stabilized plaque, there may be a small lipid pool and thick fibrous cap, and there is a preserved lumen. So these are the process of the pathogenesis, that are the diagrammatic overview. So here we see the overview of the process of the atherogenesis. So here you see there is a damage to the endothelium, and there is expression of the adhesion molecule that may initiate the attachment of the different factors. So these damage to the endothelium may lead to the LDL into the intima and LDL oxidation, and these oxidized LDL that may engulf or activate the macrophages, and these oxidized LDL taken by the macrophages, and these macrophages may lead to the formation of the foam cells, and these foam cells finally may lead to the lipid pool, and this monocyte activation or transmigration may lead to the transformation into the macrophages and macrophages immobilization. So these are the process of atherogenesis and overview, and these are the here is the two lining. One is the blue, and other is the red. The blue that may show the sequence of the events, and red that may show the regulatory mechanism of the process of the atherogenesis. Now the macroscopic or the gross pictures. So in the atheroma, usually three macroscopic features. One is the fatty streak, there is just the other is the simple plaque, and third is the complicated plaque development. So in the fatty streak, there is a lipid deposit in intima, and color is usually yellow and slightly raised. These fatty streaks can appear in the aorta of infants younger than 1 year of age, and are present in virtually all children older than 10 years of age. In the simple plaque, the atheroma is usually raised, yellow or white lesion, irregular outline, widely distributed in large and collagen. In complicated plaque, there is a development of thrombosis, hemorrhage into the plaque, calcification, and aneurysm formation. So in the diagram A, these are the fatty streaks. So a collection of foamy macrophages in the intima. So in the diagram A, there is a aorta with fatty streak associated largely with a ostia of the branch vessels. In the diagram B, these are the histopathological pictures that show the macrophages drive foam cells in the intimal layer, so that are shown by the arrow. So here the plaque vary from 0.3 to 1.5 centimeter in diameter, but can collagen to form a large masses. So through the consequences of the atherosclerosis, so in the preclinical phase, usually in the young age, so there is a fatty streak development. This fatty streak may lead to the development of fibrofatty plaque, and finally there is a advanced or vulnerable plaque. So in the normal artery to development of fibrofatty plaque, there is a lesion prone area, and they are isolated by the risk factors like endothelial dysfunction, monocyte adhesion or immigration, a smooth muscle cells migration to the intima, a smooth muscle cell proliferation, ECM elaboration, and lipid accumulation. Then there is a development of advanced plaque, there is a cell death or degeneration, inflammation, plaque growth or remodeling of the plaque and wall of the extracellular matrix, organization of the thrombus and calcification, and finally in the clinical phase usually occur in the middle age to the elderly of the patient, so that may lead to the development of the mural thrombosis, embolization, and wall weakening that may lead to the aneurysm and rupture, and that may lead to the plaque rupture, plaque erosion, plaque hemorrhage, mural thrombosis, and embolization may lead to the occlusion by the thrombus, and progressive plaque growth may lead to the critical stenosis. So these are the consequences of the atherosclerosis in the preclinical phase and clinical phase. Now come to the microscopic picture. So in the microscopic picture, in the early changes, there is a proliferation of the smooth muscle cells, accumulation of foam cells, and extracellular lipid. In the later changes, there is a disruption of the internal elastic lamina, damage extend into the media, in the growth of the blood vessels and plaque fissuring. So morphological changes that are seen on the macro and microscopic level in the atherosclerosis are the neovascularization, that means formation of new blood vessels, calcification, hemorrhage, fissure, ulcer, thrombosis, medial thinning, cholesterol microthrombemboli, and aneurysm dilation or aneurysm formation. The diagram. So in the diagram one, there is a fibrous cap and there is a cholesterol cleft development. In the second diagram, there is a elastin membrane are destroyed. In the third diagram, there is a neovascularization, calcification, and inflammatory cells. So in the first diagram, uh, uh, there is a fibrous cap. In the fibrous cap, in the overall architecture demonstrating the fibrous cap and central necrotic core that are the sheath containing a cholesterol and other lipids. The lumen that is denoted by the L. The lumen L has been the moderately compromised. Note that a segment of wall is plague free, that is the arrow shown by the arrow, and the lesion is therefore eccentric. In this section, the collagen has been the stained blue, so due to the Masson trichomestan. In the diagram B, there is a, that is the high power view that show the section of a plague that show the demonstrating the internal and external elastic lamina are accentuated and the media of the artery thin under the most advanced plague. In the diagram C, these are the also high power magnification that showing the scattered inflammatory cells, calcification, and the neovascularization. Now to the clinical classification of atherosclerosis. So already described in the previous slide. One is the preclinical or asymptomatic period, and in the clinical period there is a ischemic stage, necrotic stage, and the sclerotic stage. The clinical manifestation of the atherosclerosis depend on the vessels involved and the extent of the vessel's obstruction. The atherosclerotic lesion produce their effect through the narrowing of the vessels and production of the ischemia, sudden vessels obstruction caused by the plaque hemorrhage or rupture, thrombosis, and formation of emboli resulting from the damage to the vessel's endothelium. In the large vessels such as aorta, the important complications are those of thrombus formation and weakening of the vessel's wall. In medium-sized artery, there is a coronary and cerebral artery, there is ischemia and infection caused by the vessels occlusion are the more common. Although atherosclerosis can affect any organ or tissue, the arteries supplying the heart, brain, kidney, lower extremities, and small intestine are most frequently involved. Now the common site for the development of atheroma or the atherosclerosis are the aorta, especially the abdominal aorta, coronary artery, carotid artery, cerebral artery, and the leg artery. So the clinical manifestation of the atherosclerotic vascular disease. So vascular lesions. So in the coronary artery, the acute manifestation and chronic manifestation. The acute manifestation may lead to the acute coronary syndrome that may lead to the unstable angina, acute myocardial infarction, and sudden cardiac death. In the chronic manifestation, stable angina and vasospastic angina in carotid and cerebral artery may lead to the transient ischemic attack or a stroke. In the chronic manifestation, that may lead to the chronic cerebral ischemia or dyscirculatory encephalopathy in aorta, aortic dissection, or the aortosclerosis or the aortic aneurysm in mesenteric artery, mesenteric thrombosis, or the chronic intestinal ischemia or the abdominal angina in the renal artery, cholesterol embolism of the renal artery, and renovascular hypertension and renal failure in pelvic and lower extremities artery lead to the acute limb ischemia, and in the chronic manifestation may lead to the erectile dysfunction, Ladies syndrome, chrononic limb ischemia that may lead to the intermittent claudication. So in the Ladies syndrome, there is a iliac aculsic disease in which blood flow in the aortic area is blocked due to the atherosclerosis. So in the diagnostic approach in the atherosclerosis, the gold standard for the diagnosis is angiography. Other is the X-ray, CT or MRI technique. Electron beam CT scan may lead to the coronary calcium score that lead the assessment for the total plaque burden. Doppler ultrasound used to detect renal or carotid lesion. Assessment of the intima media thickness, and other is the IVUS. This intravascular ultrasound. So these are the unique formation on the plaque structure, volume and the area, and other is the angioscopy that are mostly used in the scientific study. So in the slide here you see these are the IVUS, that is intravascular ultrasonography image that show the atheroma or the atherosclerosis of the vessels lumen. Now the clinical complication may lead to the myocardial infarction or the heart attack, cerebral infarction or the stroke, aortic aneurysm, mesenteric occlusion, and peripheral vascular disease or gangrene of the legs. Now the prevention, so stop smoking, reduce fat intake, treat hypertension, not to take too much alcohol, regular exercise, weight control, but some people still develop the stroma. So these are all about the atherosclerosis, and finally thank you.